Members, Senate Appropriations will convene. I think we have a quorum, correct? Let's call the roll.
Kehoe?
Here.
Kehoe here. Cox? Alquist?
Here.
Alquist here. Corbett?
Here.
Corbett here. Dunham? Leno?
Here.
Leno here. Liu? Price?
Here.
Price here. Walters?
Here.
Walters here. Wyland? Yee? Yee here.
I want to thank everybody for being so prompt. We'll start with the extraordinary session bills. Senator Yee, do you want to take up SB 28 in the 8th extraordinary session? This is the Housing Emergency Shelter Fund bill. And members, this is a due pass.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. This bill is about really trying to revitalize our economy and bring jobs online as quickly as possible. So this is just simply a realigning of some of the Prop C funds. Just very quickly, what we're looking at is $87.5 million in Prop C housing bonds that have not yet been awarded, and we have taken amendments to, I think, clarify some earlier issues that were raised in the Transportation Committee. And so with that, urge Nigel.
Thank you, Senator Yee. This is an important bill, and we really appreciate. We heard it in detail in transportation the other day. You're very patient with all the discussion. We'll go to finance, and then take up the public comment. Finance, you have a comment?
Good morning, members of the committee. Miriam Ingenito with the Department of Finance. The department is still analyzing the bill, and the administration is looking for the policy of shifting the funding. However, we do note that there are significant concerns with the technical issues in the bill. Some of these may have been addressed in the most recently amended bill, but we believe that one of the appropriations in the bill is from the wrong account. That redirecting funds to other programs would require HCD to restart the underwriting process, which could delay significantly putting out the bonds. But most importantly, we just wanted to state an underlying concern with a number of the proposals in the jobs package about the issuance and the appropriations of bond funds. I don't know that the concern right now is the appropriating of the bond funds. It's more the ability for the state treasurer to be able to sell the bond funds. We are hoping to do another sale shortly, but as you're all aware, we did have to freeze a number of projects that had been appropriated and authorized last year because we were not able to get the bonds sold into the market. So we are going back out. The Treasury is going back out to the markets hopefully soon. But again, we are concerned that the problem is not.
Sales are the issue for you. Yeah. Thank you. Anything further?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Go to public testimony. Those in support, please come forward. Those in support?
Kind of between the two, Krista.
And Ms. Snyder, why don't you come up now, and we'll see who else is here. I should say, members, Senator Yee has agreed to take a number of amendments that are not yet final on the Assembly side, and has agreed to have the bill reviewed by Transportation on the way back here, if need be. So. Some of those technical amendments, I think, are still, being worked out, and there's additional policy amendments that I think are going to be coming forward also.
That's correct.
Ms. Snyder?
Thank you, Senator. Julie Snyder with Housing California. We don't have an official position yet, but I did want to say a couple things. We're very grateful that the Senator and the Transportation and Housing Committee are looking for ways to replenish the multifamily housing program. That's the state's premier public-private partnership that builds apartments that are affordable to working families, to seniors, and to folks with disabilities. As the analysis indicates, that program is often oversubscribed, usually 4 or 5 to 1, and so we anticipate the ability to spend that money very quickly if this bill goes through. So we're quite appreciative of that. We continue to work with the Senator on the issue of the Local Housing Trust Fund program. in the new pot of the pot for new trusts. We've identified at least 4 or 5 trusts, primarily rural Central Valley trusts, that anticipate applying for the money in the next year. So we're working to see if there's a way to leave at least some pot in there, not necessarily the whole 16 or 17 million, but maybe 5 or 6, so that those trusts can come to fruition and continue to work locally. So we very much appreciate what the senator's doing, and we look forward to continuing to work on this bill for at least the next week and a half. Thank you.
There's also some concerns I've heard locally that those trust funds that are just under the line also have ready-to-go projects and don't want to see that pot diminished. So we need to figure out what the fair and balanced approach is going to be, and I know Senator Yee's willing to work on that.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole idea here is to try to get as many jobs
Right.
online as possible. But on the other hand, we don't want to punish any individual for at least not having some of those projects being funded because of the delay and so you want to find that balance of ensuring that those that are in line already and those that are slightly under, that they are given due considerations. And so
Thank you, Senator Yee. Any additional testimony, pro, con, or in the middle? Seeing none, I'll take a question from Senator Walters, and I'll take questions on this side as well.
I just was wondering if this bill does anything to make it easier to sell bonds.
I don't have that information with me at this time. That is not my understanding. We're going to actually have to go through the same process that we currently have to go to, as far as I am aware.
So if the market is not ready to buy the bonds, if you can take the bonds to the market and they're not ready to buy the bonds, then we can't do anything with this.
Right. There's about $48 million that has been authorized but not yet sold with the Treasurer right now. So those would be the first projects to get funded, and then there will be other projects in line in a queue, essentially, because we do have a backlog.
Okay. And is the Treasurer giving you any indication of when these bonds may go to market?
I don't have. You'd have to contact their office. My understanding was that they were going to shoot for an early spring sale.
Early spring sale. Okay. All right.
Senator Walters' staff informs me that the Treasurer is waiting to see what happens with our mid-year adjustments, our special session adjustments, to kind of gauge what the response in the bond market might be like. But if the bonds weren't sold, these projects would not be funded, correct? I'll ask staff.
We don't believe they would go to market.
On the microphone. You have to be official.
Yes.
He's still new.
Bob Franzoia with the Senate Appropriations. Our understanding is the Treasurer is gauging the response to the mid-year corrections and seeing how the bond market will react to those corrections, whether then going to the market will be feasible.
Senator Corbett and then Senator Alquist.
Thank you very much, Senator Yee, for your important work with regard to housing on this bill. I believe my question's been answered, but I was just concerned about existing trust accounts. That impacts some of the groups in my district. I understand you're committed to take amendments to address their concerns. And also, there has been some concern about already allocated funds being expressed from the Silicon Valley that I think has been addressed as well.
that's correct. Much of that was raised at the transportation. I think the commitment is that we don't want to hurt any cities or entities that are in line and shovel ready, or that they were already promised that these dollars would in fact be flowing to them.
Thank you very much.
Senator Alquist.
Thank you. As a joint author, I'm pleased to see that Senator Yee has taken an amendment that removes the concerns of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group and the Housing Trust of Santa Clara County regarding the shifting of funds from local housing to the state, from local to the state, because we've already done a lot in that area. And this is sorely needed, and I want to also commend you in your work in this area.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments, members? Seeing none, and Senator Alquist, those amendments will be taken over on the Assembly side. We're not able to take them today. Senator Leno moves the bill. This is a due pass. We'll call the roll, please.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox? Alquist?
Aye.
Qualquist, I. Corbett.
Aye.
Corbett, I. Denham. Leno.
Aye.
Leno, I. Liu. Price.
Aye.
Price, I. Walters.
No.
Walters, no. Wyland. Yee.
Aye.
Yee, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Senator Yee. That bill is out. Members, we'll take up Senator Woke's bill in the extraordinary session, and Senator Leno is presenting. Then we'll also present Speaker Bass's bill, and that'll be our final item. Senator Lowenthal's bill has been moved to the floor under Rule 28.8. Senator Leno, presenting Senator Woke's bill. Thank you. And this is a due pass also, members. This is the federal conformity tax measure.
This is a Woke-Leno bill.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Even better.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. I am pleased to present SB X832, which is a simple bill, no more than 113 pages, which conforms state tax law to federal tax changes made since 2005 and has, as you can imagine, any number of conformity measures. But to highlight a few, the measure will provide needed relief to struggling homeowners in its conformity to federal tax law, ensures that renewable energy projects are not unduly taxed on federal grants. Also conforms to a federal penalty to make sure that taxpayers cannot take a risk-free gamble when filing an aggressive tax refund claim, something put into federal law by desire of George W. Bush, reduces the difference between federal and state tax law, easing tax preparation for taxpayers and tax preparers alike. And with that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Finance?
Miriam Inchinita with the Department of Finance. The Department of Finance is opposed to this measure. The bill substantially is the same as AB 1580 from last year, which the governor vetoed on September 1st, 2009, for one provision in here specifically, and that was with the erroneous refund claims provisions. There are a number of pieces in this measure which the administration is supportive of, and one of those is something that we would like to continue to work on with the legislature, and those are the provisions of the renewable energy and the ARA funds provisions that are in that we would like to continue to work with the legislature on. The total net loss as a result of this measure would be $20.5 million in 9-10, $10.8 million in 10-11, and $8 million in 11-12.
Thank you. Public testimony in favor of the bill? In favor of the bill? All right. Then we'll go to opposition testimony.
Madam Chair and members, Don Gilbert representing Terragen Power. Terragen Power, we support the bill, in particular the ARA provision referenced. We have what we have at stake here is a 720 megawatt wind facility in the Tehachapis that is ready to break ground in weeks, provide those 720 megawatts to Edison's grid, and we could flip the switch on that project, all 720 megawatts, in the first quarter of 2011. So we have a finance plan. Our finance plan assumes that the federal cash grant is received in full, and that's what we need to happen. We can't have that taxed. So for that reason, we have major concerns about the current state of the law and respectfully request your aye vote on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Madam Chair, members, Donna Brownsey for the Solar Alliance, which is a trade association of over 30 photovoltaic solar companies. We strongly support the ARA provisions to conform the cash grant, which was to trade out for the investment tax credit, which is not taxable. So urge your strong aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Scott Governor, on behalf of California Wind Energy Association, we concur with the other witnesses with the dissolution of the ITC and PTC markets. The cash grants are more important than ever. We do support the bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Brandenburg. I'm with the Flanagan Law Firm representing NextEra Energy Resources. They're the largest wind and solar producers in the United States. We have 2 solar projects that we would like to, that are shovel ready for this ARA fund. So we support the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Erin Niemela representing the Large Scale Solar Association, which is the Association of Utility Scale Solar Providers. and developers. We support this bill. As you know, there was a tax credit, and this can be used instead of that. Most of these projects will begin being shovel-ready and creating tax revenue and jobs long before they ever receive the grants. These are very large projects, so they'll receive the grants probably in 5 years upon completion. So the tax benefit to the state and the jobs created will preempt the grant being received down the line. Thank you.
Thank you. You support the bill, right?
Yes.
Opposition. Is there any opposition testimony? And then we'll take comments from questions from the committee. Welcome.
Good morning for Friday morning, Madam Chair. Members, Chris McKaylee, on behalf of several associations, California Aerospace Technology, Tech America, California Bankers Association, have all filed letters of opposition along the same lines as we did last year on AB 1580, which the Department of Finance has indicated was vetoed by the governor over objections to Section 47 of the bill, which is a new 20% penalty to be granted to the Franchise Tax Board for erroneous refund claims. While our opposition is based almost exclusively on the policy opposition to that and not fiscal, let me just briefly point out that the omnibus federal tax conformity bill, obviously you have selected conformity bills, including AB 347 today. The omnibus bill has historically always gone through an interested parties process where folks get together and review the federal tax acts and decide what should we conform to and not conform to. This specific provision, it was agreed upon in the interested parties process to not conform. And so it should be excluded from what is otherwise a consensus bill, and that is our opposition. If that is struck, then there is no opposition to the bill, because otherwise the business community strongly supports general conformity, and we haven't picked up in the last 5 years very important provisions which ought to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good morning. Greg Hines, California Manufacturers and Technology Association. Largely would just echo the comments from Mr. McKaylee there with regards to our strong support for generally conformity. I think we all are in agreement with FTB. We've all been over the last 5 years concerned with the fact that we have not had conformity over that time. This is a continuation of an unfortunate trend, however, in that every year the business community and all interested parties have worked with FTB to come up with a consensus-driven, non-controversial, conforming bill. And every year we support the bill, and every year something is added to it that takes it away from consensus-driven and non-controversial, which makes us have to oppose something that everybody wants to see happen. We'd love to get back to consensus-driven, non-controversial issues. On this erroneous refund. So my suggestion would be, let's amend this erroneous refund claim penalty out of it where it was originally. I would like to thank Ms. Wolk at FTB, however, for saving us a lot of time and effort and having to go through the support mechanisms of the last few years. Now we can just come out and oppose and hopefully get to a real bill. With regards to the erroneous refund claim penalty, yes, it conforms with federal law. However, what federal law does not conform with now is California's one-of-a-kind strict liability 20% understatement penalty. If you look at those two in connection, it creates a whipsaw. Companies are going to be forced to overpay their tax liability every year to avoid, it's basically a protective claim to avoid that 20% liability, and then can be hit on the other side when they apply for refunds. This sets up a very unfair treatment for California businesses and taxpayers. We urge an opposition to this particular bill and ask for us to come back with a real consensus conformity bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further testimony? Pro, con, in the middle. Mr. Grinnell, the tax committee consultant, can you just comment on the record here regarding the whether there was consensus on conforming or not conforming on the one item?
Sure. Colin Grinnell, Senate Revenue and Taxation Committee. This provision originally was part of the 2008 conformity process. And at the 2008 conformity meeting, the initial interested parties meeting, there was no opposition registered to this provision. The measure at the time was AB 1561, which was approved out of Senate Revenue and Taxation in the summer of 2008. After that, the author removed the provision from the bill. That bill subsequently died on the Senate floor because it lacked 27 votes because it happened to be a tax increase at the time. At the 2009 conformity process, I wasn't aware of any objection being raised at that time.
Thank you. Comments, members? Ms. Walters, Senator Walters?
I actually would like to make a motion to strike Section 47 of this bill. As it's just been discussed, the fact that the governor had vetoed the almost identical bill, AB 1580, which in the governor's veto message, he objected to the 20% penalty for the franchise tax board to assess against the taxpayers. And also in light of his veto message, this issue of conformity. I think that while I do support that we have conformity to our federal tax bills, we need to make sure that there's consensus on this. And so I would like to make the motion to strike Section 47.
Thank you, Senator Walters. Members, we have a motion on the floor. We'll take that up first before we go to further comments. Senator Walters is asking for the amendment. I'm opposed. I urge your no vote. Any other comments here?
Can I speak to that?
Yes, you may.
I just want to point out that with regard to oppositional comments made, that the accuracy-related penalty that we're talking about here in these erroneous claims applies only to understatements that lack reasonable basis on original returns. Now, they might respond that we don't define reasonable basis, but there is a federal definition. So currently, there is no penalty existing for federal claims that lack the reasonable basis.
Thank you.
So I think it's completely reasonable that we would not want to put this into place.
Right. You don't support the amendment. You would urge a no vote on
Yes,
Ms.
indeed.
Walters'
You bet.
motion. Ms. Walters, any final comments before we take the vote? No, that's good. Thank you. Then we'll call the roll on Ms. Walters' motion. I'm urging a no vote.
Kehoe?
No.
Kehoe, no. Cox? Alquist?
No.
Alquist, no. Corbett?
No.
Corbett, no. Denham? Leno?
No.
Leno, no. Liu? Price?
No.
Price, no. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Wyland? Yee?
No.
Yee, no.
Ready? The motion fails. Senator Corbett, you had a comment?
Yes, I'd just like to move the bill.
Senator
as written.
Corbett moves the bill. This is SB 32 in the 8th special session. Any other comments, members? Mr. Leno, would you like to close?
Let's ask for your aye vote.
All righty. We'll call the roll then.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox? Alquist?
Aye.
Alquist, aye. Corbett?
Aye.
Corbett, aye. Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Liu? Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters?
No.
Walters, no. Wyland? Yee?
Aye.
Yee, aye.
And that is 6 to 1. The bill is out. Mr. Leno is going to present Speaker Bass's item, AB 347. It's a tax checkoff for the Haitian earthquake victims. And I believe a number of members want to sign on as co-authors. Please make that clear now, and then we'll make sure it happens as it leaves the committee. Senator Leno, it's all yours.
My pleasure. On behalf of Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to present AB 347. We're all well aware of the extraordinary, beyond description, devastation of Haiti as a result of the earthquake on January 12th, and contributions have been forthcoming, and that's all good news. What this bill does is to give for another few weeks even greater incentive for those individuals or corporations are considering making a contribution, tax-deductible contribution to aid in the relief efforts in Haiti. And it does that by allowing those contributions made between January 11th and March 1st to take the tax deduction in the 2009 tax year. There is precedent for this. There was SB 50 in 2005, which followed the great tsunami of Christmas Day 2004, and also precedent in that President Obama signed into law a bill on January 22nd, which does the same for federal tax returns. So I'd ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Finance, please.
The Department of Finance is neutral on this measure. FTB would not incur additional costs, and it's estimated that the revenue loss in 9-10 would be $80,000, offset by that same sum in 10-11.
Thank you. Public testimony. Are there speakers in favor? Are there speakers opposed? Members, any comments from the dais?
Be added to the bill.
All righty.
I'm a co-author as well.
All righty. Senator Alquist moves as amended, and I think staff has all the co-authors that want to sign on, myself included.
Myself included. Thank you.
All righty. Then we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox? Alquist?
Aye.
Alquist, aye. Corbett?
Aye.
Corbett, aye. Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Liu? Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye.
7-0, that measure is out as well. Members, that concludes our file for today. Thank you all for being here. We're adjourned.